Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. This is a 2009 film. Every year I do a review of a Halloween film. I've gone through the entire series now at this point, so I'm going to circle back eventually. I reviewed his first one last year, of course. Now, it's a movie that maybe not quite my cup of tea, not quite full of everything that I could hope for or desire in a Halloween film, but definitely stuff that I liked about it, found interesting, stuff that would keep me coming back to it and finding something to enjoy. This one's a whole different ballgame. This one, probably even now, with the David Gordon Green trilogy that we have, that has divided quite a few fans, I'd still say this one, Halloween 2 from Rob Zombie, probably remains the most divisive of the entire series. We have a lot of people who just hate the movie, but then we have quite a few people who will very passionately defend it, even going as far as saying it's one of the best in the series. Now, I would lean more towards hating the movie. That's me, that's my taste, that's my interpretation of what we're left with in the film. I'm not a huge fan. I think there are many problems with it, probably biggest of which being that the movie is just, it's not good and it's stupid. So that's definitely up there with the problems. But should that matter? We're at the 10th entry in this series at this point with this film. Should it even matter if it's good or not? What constitutes good? What constitutes bad? What does it matter if something's bad? What does anything really matter? These are the profound thoughts I have after leaving the Rob Zombie School of Arts. Pseudo-psychological bullshit, desperately trying to sound profound in some kind of way, which is the entirety of this movie. It's just kind of trying really hard to be deep. Like, of course, we got the whole aspect introduced here of the white horse thing, which they let us know about in the very beginning. We have a description of it in the beginning. We have kind of a little entr'acte with Michael Myers in the asylum with his mother talking about having a dream with a horse, and then, the ending kind of links that all together, just to spell it out to you as much as it can, because that's the best way to get a profound point across, is to hammer it into you as much as possible. So there's that. The whole white horse stuff is just stupid. And another problem maybe I have with the movie is it feels lacking in a lot of ways. Like, it feels like Rob Zombie just didn't have quite enough story to work with here. So we do get a follow-up to the events of the first film taking place a year later, or maybe 2 years later, depending on which version you're watching. I mean, there's the theatrical and there's the unrated. One version says it's a year later, another version says 2 years later. So what does that really matter either? Time is but a construct. So whatever the case may be, it's sometime after the first movie where we see our characters left off, and Laurie in particular, of course, and how she's dealing with life after her terrifying encounter with Michael Myers. And coming into that, we have Loomis as well, played by Malcolm McDowell. Very good in the role, but the role is kind of skewed in a certain way where they want to make him different. Like, oh, he's not the old Loomis anymore, he's the new Loomis, and the new Loomis is just an asshole trying to sell some books, and there's a whole conflict with him there, and all that kind of stuff. And Michael Myers is back. He's following his mommy dressed in white, played by the horrible Sherry Moon Zombie, who Rob Zombie just wants to shove in our throats in every movie he does. Great. You're the best actress ever, baby. Don't let the critics bring you down. You're my muse. Whatever. But he's following the horse around and the mommy around, and having Rob Zombie music video-esque visions. Again, another thing, very, silly kind of editing to I don't know, lengthen the movie a little bit. All these little, vignettes of these dreams that do very much, have the vibes of those Rob Zombie videos from the 90s, which, I mean, they're kind of cool, but they don't really service much other than, just, hey, look, it's something cool. And so a lot of time wasting in the movie, I mean, ultimately, to make up for the shoestring of a plot, which is saying a lot for, a slasher horror movie, which is saying a lot for one that is trying very hard to be something more. So that's a big problem. And of course, we have the whole beginning of the film, right, which does take place kind of immediately after the events that we see in the first film of Rob Zombie's first film, where it just kind of ends. Laurie shoots him, movie's over. Here we see her wandering. She gets picked up by the ambulance, and Michael Myers hauled away in the morgue. The paramedics, one of which is Richard Brake, who's always great. They're having the typical branded Rob Zombie conversation about fucking corpses or whatever. Real charming stuff. Real on brand Rob Zombie, dreck. Then they hit a cow, and Michael Myers kills them and escapes. Finds Laurie at the hospital, stalks her. He kills Academy Award winner Octavia Spencer. And he's about to get her, but oops, it's a dream. So this is 20 minutes of the movie. This is a dream sequence, which, I mean, maybe you can roll your eyes at it. Oh, another person complaining about it being a dream sequence. Well, yeah, that's a problem. I mean, maybe if it was like a 5-minute sequence or something. This is 20 minutes of a movie. In a 106-minute movie, 20 minutes, that's a good chunk. Do not mince words. That's a good chunk. And it ultimately feels like it's just kind of wasting time, kind of sort of subverting our expectations on what we would expect a Halloween sequel to be. Because, of course, the 1981 sequel, that was the whole concept of Michael Myers going to Haddonfield General and stalking Laurie, and that was the whole movie. And so I guess they were trying to trick us a little bit with this opening, but it's just a dream, but it kind of plays into, oh, well, we kind of understand that Laurie's just been having a whole year of these dreams, so 20 minutes is amount to a year, I guess, in the justification of wasting that much time. But then you could kind of compare it to something like Aliens, which I know I'm just psychotically obsessed with Aliens, but you compare that to the one of the opening scenes of Aliens, where we have that dream sequence with Ripley, remember, where she has that whole chestburster dream where the alien's coming out of her, but no, it was just a dream. But at the same time, within that segment, some crucial plot information is dropped, like we learn about her being lost in space and all that stuff. So we kind of instinctively, as the audience, we're able to separate what we can apply to the plot moving forward and what was meant to be the dream to represent the kind of never-ending nightmare. And it's all done neat and tidy in 5 minutes. Here we don't really know. Like, maybe, I mean, I guess the stuff with the paramedics really happened. Maybe Michael escaped that way. They say later in the movie the body was never found, and that's pretty much it. Maybe he actually did track Laurie down and stalk her in the hospital, and somehow she got away in that portion we didn't see, but she keeps on dreaming about that, and it's kind of skewed a little bit, so no one would have believed her, thinking it was a bad dream. So what is dream? What is reality? Deep stuff from Rob Zombie, of course. Real fucking, head scratcher there. So there's that. But ultimately, it's just a waste of time. So, I mean, like, when we get to the kind of meat of the movie, we think, wow, this really kind of begins and ends pretty quickly. And we don't really get as much time with the characters as maybe we would have liked. I mean, it does, in a lot of ways, focus on the relationship between both Laurie, who has survived, played by Scout Taylor Compton, of course, And Annie, who actually survived the original movie as well, which she didn't in the '78 film, but she did in the Rob Zombie film, apparently. And apparently so did Loomis, which, depending on which version you watched, seemed pretty clear they died. I don't know, but they've both survived. They're both dealing with it in their own different ways. But ultimately, I guess if you feel the David Gordon Green movies have, some conflicting messages about, survival and trauma, this one, it's clear enough that it all just turns you into an asshole. Every character here is an asshole, yelling at each other and resenting each other in some kind of way, and their lives have just been turned to shit because of Michael Myers, and that's a good lesson to learn. So they kind of focus on that a little bit, but before we really feel all that much invested in the characters, oops, we're at the end of the movie. So it feels like we just got started and it's ending, and there's so much filler, and it's almost unbelievable. And maybe it was handled a little bit better in the unrated version, where that's another thing. It's kind of interesting where we are now, because Rob Zombie's film, the original 2007 Halloween, that came out 2007. This came out 2009. This was kind of prime time within home video marketing to get those unrated editions out there on DVD and later Blu-ray, where that was a huge selling point. It's like, oh well, you saw it in the theater. Well, here's the unrated. There's more stuff we couldn't show you in theaters. It's more intense, and there's different stuff. And in terms of the Rob Zombie thing, there's completely fucking different stuff, different fates for characters. Scenes play out differently. Scenes are cut out. We're really left unsure of what movie he wanted to really show us. I guess the unrated is the intended director's cut, but they don't really. I don't know. I think the original 2007 says director's cut, but the Halloween 2 2009 just says unrated. So I don't know. Who cares? The director's vision, whatever that may be. But things have changed now. Now it's not so much, well, the unrated version. It's the home video version. It's the version most people are going to see, most people are going to grab, going to rent if they rent, going to buy if they buy. Here is the age of streaming, and these streaming services don't really care about the unrated editions anymore. Maybe they'll have them, but more often than not, you're going to get the theatrical version when you stream something, which is absolutely 100% the case with Halloween 2. To my knowledge, from my experience, I've seen the unrated version many times. I would say, I guess, that it's sort of better, a little bit, maybe. But you can only find on streaming, on digital, the theatrical cut. So if you go on, Amazon Prime Video, if you go on Shudder, AMC Plus, whatever, it's going to be that theatrical version, where you'll have these defenders of the film. No, you gotta watch the unrated cut. You gotta seek that out. It's like, well, I mean, what am I doing here? I'm gonna go buy a Blu-ray, or I'm gonna watch this on Amazon Prime. I have a subscription, whatever. But that presents a problem for anybody who's championing this film. Which, I mean, you can put your attention to some much better movies than this one. How about Lords of Salem? That was even more pretentious and stupid. Try defending that too. Why not? But yeah, I don't know. Is there good stuff I can say about the movie? Sure. Decent kills, good violence. I mean, really, that's what you go to. That's what you want out of these kinds of movies. That's really, I mean, I joke a little bit about, does it matter if it's good or bad or not? Technically, no, it doesn't matter, because, I mean, it's not like these slasher movies are high art. We just want to see people get killed in different ways and get a cheap little thrill out of it. And I suppose it works just fine in that respect. I'll say one thing for all Rob Zombie movies: they always have great soundtracks. So if nothing else, you're going to get some great classic rock tunes, which I love. That's kind of my go-to genre of music, if you want to call it that. My go-to era of music, let's say. I love all that. Lots of great music in this movie, And I think Tyler Bates as Michael Myers, and being this vision of the character as this big, bulking, kind of monstrous guy. I think he does a good job. I think he would have made a great Jason, actually, and maybe that is kind of the problem with the movie, where a lot of people will say, "Hey, this whole stuff with the mom and the obsession, and his mom telling him to kill. That's kind of Jason's shtick, right? Right, Mr. Zombie? You know that, right?" It's like, I don't care. It's art. Art has no limits. Okay. I just wanted a role for my wife. What do you want me to tell you? I don't know, but I don't know. Decent stuff here and there. Otherwise, I think it's a bad movie. I don't care for it. I'd say it's very low on the Halloween rankings for me personally. I'll still gladly take any one of the David Gordon Green ones, even the Halloween Ends, which I saw recently. I downloaded it illegally, in case you're curious. Even that I kind of like a little better than this one. Maybe the only one I like less is Halloween Resurrection, which is very cheesy and dated movie, and kind of doesn't service the characters in any kind of likable way. So maybe this is the second worst of all Halloween movies. I don't like it. It's a shit stain on the underwear of the franchise. So that's my review. Halloween 2. Don't revisit it. It's the same as you remember. It's whichever version, unrated. Want to dig out your Blu-ray? Want to get that Scream Factory set, which is a cool set? Watch the unrated cut? Sure, fine. You want to watch, theatrical on streaming? Same basic movie. A turd with any other consistency would smell as foul. Halloween movie marathon. Maybe you can tell by my voice, I'm a little sick. It's been a struggle to get these reviews out. I want to try one more review just to cap off the month. But I thank you very much for sticking with me for these reviews. I wish I could have done a little bit more, but I do appreciate you watching throughout this month, and it's been fun revisiting some old favorites and finding some new ones, and it's always a good time. So be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Stay tuned for more, and until next time, I'll see you later, and stay scared.